Hello, welcome to From God's Heart to Mine. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining me as we aim to draw nearer to God every day. What do you do when you're really afraid? When you find yourself feeling real fear, how do you react? Maybe you go into fight or flight mode and you either try to stand and fight against whatever it is that's causing you to be afraid, or you try to run, maybe hide. Maybe you just freeze in the moment of panic and fright. Generally, when we feel fear, we turn to our greatest faith. We show in that moment what we really trust because that's where we're going for comfort or protection from what we fear. But what does it look like when we're not really afraid at all, even if we should be? Jonah chapter 1, verses 4 through 16, presents a very interesting contrast. Jonah had run from the Lord, and a storm began raging as he's on this boat sailing away from where God had called him to be. And if there's ever a time to be afraid, when you've directly disobeyed a command from God and a storm starts raging above you, that might be a time to feel some fear. But instead, Jonah is sleeping on the boat while all the other men are terroring, while all the other men are crying out in terror. Jonah's just asleep. It's not the behavior of someone who's really afraid. Yet when the men wake Jonah up and figure out that Jonah is the cause of the storm, Jonah calmly explains that the storm is happening because he fears God and is running away from him. He claims to fear the Lord, but none of his actions or demeanor demonstrate any kind of real fear of God. But there's also this group of Gentiles in the boat. We wouldn't expect these people to fear the God of Israel, and they had already cried out to their various other pagan gods when the storm began. But these men are truly afraid of the storm and of God's wrath. And after they finally toss Jonah into the sea to calm the storm, we read in Jonah 1:16 that these Gentiles feared the Lord exceedingly and offered a sacrifice to the Lord and took vows. We would expect Jonah, who was not only an Israelite, but a prophet of the Lord, to fear God, and he claims that he does. But instead, the Gentiles are the ones in this story who truly fear the Lord. Here's the lesson. It doesn't matter what we claim about our relationship with the Lord, or even what we would expect it to be like. What matters is what we show in our behavior in response to the Lord. Claiming to fear God means much less than actually fearing God. Likewise, claiming to have faith in God means much less than actually living by faith. If you claim the name Christian, that is good. But what relationship with Christ do you really have? Matthew 7:21 through 23 tells us that not everyone who calls Jesus their Lord and claims him as their Lord is going to enter the kingdom of heaven. What really matters is what we do in response to the will of God. That's the question we need to answer. Are you someone like Jonah who simply claims to fear God? Or are you someone like the Gentiles in this story who truly end up in a good relationship with God? Thanks for listening to From God's Heart to Mine. Follow the podcast if you want a new devotional thought every weekday. My name is Caleb Griffith. You can reach out to me on any platform, and I'll include you in my prayers today. And when you pray today, take some time beforehand to consider how you really view God and not just what you claim to view him as. And then open your heart today to pursue God's heart and try to show his heart to others.